I'm sure you've enjoyed drawing in Revit as your first experience. So, let me draw you one more time and then we will continue our discussion. I choose the wall and start from one point. The length would be 11 and the angle would be 40 degrees. Then the length would be 5, again 40 degrees. Here again we put 14. You see it didn't get a straight and there's no U button for it like the AutoCAD when you undo. You have to click on the Ctrl Z and start all over. As you can see, I draw more walls. And that's it. Now, let's go and see other models of the wall and see how those work. Now, let's activate the wall again. And also know that repeating the last order in Revit is only by clicking enter, not space. And as you can see, the wall is activated again. But there is also another way to activate them, and that's right click. You can see here we have a repeat, that is for wall, and we also have a recent command that activates our recent command. So let's go back to our job. We want to analyze these together. Okay, let's start with the first one. The first wall is the wall we just worked with, which is straight and it's also called line. But there are some points here. For example, chain, as you can see. You know, when we click on chain or activate it, the walls we draw are immediately after each other. I mean, they're connected together. But when we inactivate it, when we draw a wall, it will be separated from the next one. But if we click on chain, it doesn't disconnect again. And that's the chain button. And remember one thing, no matter you draw something with chain or without chain, all these lines are independent objects. This chain button only causes they don't separate while we're drawing. Another option is called offset. You see, when I want to, for example, draw here, the wall is exactly on the same direction that I am. But if you click on offset, for example, 2 meters offset, when I do it, it draws the line 2 meters on the other side. And now, why is it up? Well, we can change its direction by clicking on space, as you can see. And it also corrects the clashes itself. It's a good option actually. And for example, imagine that I want to draw a wall from 1.5 meters of this wall. Then I draw the wall from on the previous wall and I click on space. You see, you're drawing on this wall, but the main wall is on the 1.5 meters of this. You see, just like that. But one thing that offset can't do is to draw another kind of wall. This cannot be done by offset. Just like that. And remember, this is not a part of your lesson, so let's just not to learn it. And you will learn it in the future, don't worry at all. We have too many projects, about 20 projects, and we will learn anything. I remember one of my friends once said, no matter you want it or not, you will definitely learn it. Alright, next option is called reduce. Guess what it does? I click on reduce and then I write down a number, for example, 2. Guess what it does? You see, that's right. It makes the corner a fillet. It's a good thing actually, and you might need it, so pay attention to learn. This is everything about the straight wall, but in the next walls, these options, some of it will be repeated. Next one is rectangle. Rectangle, which is, it's not so hard to draw it, it's so easy. There's a point in rectangle, and that you first need to draw it and then enter the size of it. For example, I drew it and now I make it 13. And here to be 16. You see, let me draw again. I choose a rectangle and I start drawing. For example, I want it to be 20 and 9, and that's how I write down the number. And if your rectangle is near another object, for example, now it's 6 and 9, and when you click on it, it will be half of it. If this happens to you, you need to exit from the select or the modify, and then choose every side separated. So let me tell you this one more time. If your rectangle is near some objects, for example here, you see it has a size at the beginning, but when you click on it, it will be disappeared. I repeat, if this happens to you, you exit from the select or the modify at the corner and choose every side separated. But if it's not near any object, this won't happen. If it happened to you, exit from the select and choose every side separated. Now, what are its options? For example, rectangle has an offset, which you know about. For example, if it's 2 meters, and I draw something, it will be 2 meters out of the point I'm drawing. For example, this one. 2 meters away from the point I'm drawing. And about radius, you definitely can guess what it is. When I draw it, the corners become fillets. Just like that. Alright, let's go to the next one. Polygons. We have two types of polygons. One of them is inscribed, and inscribed is actually a polygon that exists inside a circle, and it works in a way that you draw a circle and that polygon will be into that circle. That's what I pick. So first we should draw a circle. Pay attention that the direction of your mouse when you draw a circle is really important. And also there's one more thing, and that's the place of the mouse, the place of the, oh sorry, let me just explain the polygons again. All right, let's start. We have two kinds of polygons. One is inscribed and another one is circumscribed, which is out of the circle. Since the polygons have to be inside or outside of a circle, we need to draw a circle first. So first I choose the polygons, then I write down the number of the sides, for example 8. Then I need to draw a circle, and while I'm drawing, I give it a direction, and that direction is really important. But why? It's because the place of your polygon is based on the direction of your mouse. It works like this. It can be in any directions. Actually, it's really important. You need to pay attention to it a lot. You shouldn't just let it go. It's one of the most important part of drawing the polygon. For example, that's how I draw it. I write down its radius too. Alright, let's do it one more time. I choose the polygon, then I will choose the number of sides, for example 5, and then I should draw a circle, and first I will locate the center of the circle, then I will choose the direction of that polygon, this way, or this way, and I can see the angle too. And then I will write down the radius of the circle. And next one is the same thing too, and the only difference is that this shape is out of the circle. This one was inside the circle. This is the same thing too. You choose the direction and then you will write down the radius. That's it. In Revit, when we draw a polygon, after that we can't change the number of the sides because all these sides are separated. In Revit we have nothing to be connected to something else. I mean, every object in Revit is completely independent. The height, the material, everything is independent. Then we have the circle, which is not anything special. You first choose it, you draw it, and then you will write its radius. But circle has a really good option, and that's if you lock the radius on something. For example, I lock it on 6, and then you will be able to have a circle with the radius of 6 any place you want. As you can see, that's how it works. But we need to lock the radius in order to do it. If you do this, everywhere you click, you will have a circle with the same size. Now, let's go for the arcs. Here, the arcs we have are start and radius. The arcs are really important. Pay attention carefully. Alright, we have 2 points, start and end. For example, imagine I want an arc between this point and that point. One click on here and one click on here. The start and the end. And then I will be able to enter the radius, but I will do it with my mouse. It's easier to do it in that way. And yeah, that's nice now. So what was the radius? We don't know because we did it by our mouse. Now let's do another arc, but this time we will enter the radius. Yeah, that's it. And you can also change the radius one more time. You will click on it and you will change it. But also remember that you cannot enter any radius. For example, you can't enter 2. It has a limit, which is natural, because, well, if you enter the wrong radius, it won't be a right shape. So we can draw our arc in 2 ways. One of them is to do it ourselves by our hands, and the other one is to draw it by entering a specific radius, for example 16, and you can also change the previous arc you draw yourself without a specific radius, for example 10. You can change the radius anytime you think it's necessary to be changed. We usually use this kind of arc, the kind that doesn't have a specific radius, the time that the center of the arc is not important to us, and only the shape of the arc is important to us. As you see, when I drew this, I didn't know where the center is. I didn't even care about it. So, when we don't care about the center of the arc, we use this arc. While you're using this arc, let's save it. That I said definitely save when the warning comes. Alright, pay attention to some points. For example, here says that if you place your arc here, it will be tangent to the other wall, just like that. Or for example, I move it a bit higher and it will be tangent to that wall. So pay too much attention to this point. Sometimes it helps you have a better drawing. All right, let's go for the next arc. Just like I told you, we use the star and radius when the center of the arc is not important to us. And the exact opposite of it is this arc. When we care about the center of the arc, we use this one. So I choose this one, and for example, I want to draw a semicircle here, this point. So I click on the center of this wall first to specify the center of the arc. Then you need to locate the direction of your arc and say which point you want it to start from. So for example, if you leave your mouse here and then enter the radius, that's where your arc starts from. Let's do it one more time. For example, this time you want your arc to start from this point. So you put the direction of your mouse in here, and then you will enter the radius. For example, I write down 7 and enter. Now your arc starts from here. But what is the next number we need to enter is the length of an arc as the angle. For example, this one's going to be 180 degrees. Let me repeat it one more time on this one. Pay attention what I do. Just like that. Now, let's draw a 270 degrees arc in this point. First, we locate the center. Then we will specify the place the arc starts, this one or this one. And then I will enter the radius, 6, and then 270 degrees. That's it. Now, let me teach you a technique. I want to draw an arc in here, but we don't know the angle. So I will locate the center and the direction. And then I will enter the radius, which is, for example, 7. And well, let's do it by our mouse, but there's a problem here. And if you cross 118, it will be at the down. Before 118, you will leave it and then select it, and you will continue the rest of the arc. This is the trick. So the places we don't know the angle, for example here, we choose this. We will locate the center and then we will choose the direction. You drag it until 118 and then you will leave it. And again you will select it and continue the rest of the arc until the end. This can be useful a lot. But if you don't want to draw a complete arc, for example here I want to draw an arc with 90-degree angle. You can again change it, for example 150. Again I want to change it, 13 for example. You see, you can manage the angle very easily. But if you make it 118 and it sticks to the wall, it will not come back. You see, it won't change anymore. You need to select it and do it yourself. You see, now it works. Some of the angles you don't need to enter, for example, the famous ones like 19, 118, it gives you itself, just like you say, you can move your mouse and it will show you when it comes to those angles. So this one is an important arc too, and when I give you the time to practice, definitely practice these because they're really important. You should know them. If you have a book, these examples are all in the book and you can practice on them. But if you don't have a book while I'm explaining these, take a note so that you can practice them later. Don't just stop the video all the time and go back. Just take a note, and then when you want to practice, use those notes. It will be so much easier to do this because the key to your success, work based on the video's improvement. I mean, whatever the video tells you to do, you should do it exactly at the same time. Alright, next arc, which is tangent and arc. We know tangent and arc as a dependent arc. When you click on it, it cannot start an arc itself, and it can't even get help from the end of the object which is closed. What it needs to do is to have an object that the end of it is not closed, is free, and then it will be the tangent of that object, just like you see. Each arc is a tangent of the arc which is the previous one, and they try to make a shape of it. But what is the usage? Since we can't enter a number or the size of the angle, sometimes we have a small garden, for example, or anything else that doesn't have a particular shape. We just want to draw it. You see, I draw an arc first and then I will continue it with this. And it works, as you can see. And here you can fill it later. You can work with it when your angle, an arc, doesn't have a special shape. You can also use it some other times. For example, here you want to drag a line from here to the end of the wall, and you can use it in this way. And we all can be comfortable that all of these are tangents of each other and there won't be any mistakes. The last kind of an arc is called fillet that you need to pay attention. You see, we've always had this idea in our mind in the AutoCAD to make, for example, that line like a fillet, and we've known the fillet as the editing tool. But in Revit, as you see, fillet locates in the drawing part. Fillet itself is a drawing tool. I mean, when you want to draw this, a new wall will be made. When you click on it, and also another click on this wall, and this wall, and that's how it works. You will click on it, and then you can also enter the right number you want, the number of the fillet. Let's do it one more time on this one. Let me show you on this one. One click on one side and the other click on the other side. We click on it and then we enter the number we want to enter. Well, you might think that why should it be like this? I mean, you might think that I know my number of the fillet, for example, is 2, and I don't want to enter the number from the first. I want to point out that the number is 2, like the AutoCAD. Well, you can do that too. You will go to the radius, you will enter 2, and you will lock it. And then any arc you shape, it will be 2. You see? It will be so much easier. But, as I told you, fillet itself is a new wall. For example, these walls you see are thin walls. This wall now I want to draw is 20 centimeters, and when I make these two fillets, That's how it becomes. You see, a new wall is made, not the previous one. And I can also change it and put it on 30 centimeters, and that's how it becomes. So don't have this belief that the previous walls are edited, but the new walls are created with the radius that we need and we want. We will talk about the other tools in the following episode too. Practice all these tools that I explained it to you based on my explanations and get ready.